Hello, Paul James here. It's been 168 hours for this hunger strike, and I'm beginning to feel it. There's no doubt about it. Just to let you know what happens outside the pain, you don't have as many endorphins in your body, so as a result, even touching yourself hurts. And if somebody else taps me on the back, that definitely does. My gums are bleeding, and I'm definitely have matchstick legs right now. It's not to be extreme. We all know what this is about. It's a sick world that we live in. When I think that I've had to go to this great lengths to make a point and to champion a very worthy cause, which is confronting the stigma of drug addiction and ending the war on people, which I've actually been a part of, and now I'm fighting back. I'm going to mention a few emails. Steve Arce, which fits in now with what I've just said about, I'm assuming I don't look good on camera, but Steve Arce was a former player of mine, very briefly though, back in 2000, actually 1999, for my first cycle with the under-20 team, and he writes in an email saying that, lovely guy Steve, and I really respect him a lot, and appreciate this email, encouraging me to stop doing this. He loved the message, thinks I can be a great advocate of things, and I agree with that. But it's and he had his son, his 12-year-old son is watching, and he's explaining to his son about how important this message is. But he's getting concerned about his son seeing the deterioration, and he doesn't want it to go any further. Which I don't, Steve. I don't want it to go any further. But then I can't bail out. I can't bail out on what I'm doing for other people around the world and for my own cause, because the injustice is so powerfully wrong, so egregiously wrong, that I have a duty, in my opinion, to do this, and backed up by a lot of other people. I get other people that send emails that saying good for you. Barry Crocker, for example, a lot of Canadians, soccer people are watching. Barry Crocker says keep it going, don't give in, just like you would on a 12-minute run, and I love that. Even people down in the States, it's the same thing. So I don't think I've said this before. If I am and I'm repeating it, I apologize. But I see this as not me on depression or me using any drugs. And if I was, so what? I'm doing a pretty good job, aren't I? If I am on depression and I'm using drugs, I'm doing a pretty good job, I would say. No, this is about. I use the thought of our soldiers going to war. They don't want to get killed. They don't want to harm themselves, but they accept that that's the reality. War on drugs, war on people, fighting back to end the war on people. I'm doing that. You know, if it costs me my life, then there's nothing I can do about that. I don't want it to happen, and that's in the hands of other people. I feel ashamed that I've gone 168 hours, and every time I touch my head now, my head absolutely throbs. But I'm stunned and appalled about that I have to go and I have to continue because some people, it's amazing the lengths that people will go to hide what they've done wrong, and particularly with discrimination, people just will go to extraordinary lengths to hide the reality and to hide the truth, and that's what I'm fighting back against, because you can get away with it because that's what stigma of drug addiction does, and I don't accept it. And this is going to be York University, and to a lesser extent, because York University is the main culprits here. You have to know this. You cannot win at this stage. It's over. You need to understand that. It's over for you. You cannot win. You know, when the thing went right to the Supreme Court, right at the end, I can still go back to the Supreme Court. Everything's documented. But on a publicity level, with all what I can produce and come forward, and the fact that I've had to do this, and Jen Myers, you know that you've lied. McCarthy Tate Trope, you know you have deceitful stuff there. You can't win at this stage. But the lengths you've gone through for this, and the judicial system backing you up, is really disgraceful. But York is going to be for the second video coming tomorrow, which I'm going to start to do in what I'm assuming is going to be even worse pain. I'm going to address the CSA, exactly what I'm looking for. I'm still stunned that nobody's called out. I have a lot of alumni coming to me and saying, and I said to them, call the CSA right now. So Nick Dasovich, if you want to know what you guys can do, call to the CSA, call to Victor Montagliani and say, what the hell are you doing? Why haven't you done this? It's common sense. What would happen in England, like I said yesterday? Would they let somebody die that was a former alumnus and player on an incredibly powerful cause? I had the US government calling me today, or actually not calling, sending an email. Somebody from the US branch, the government branch of National Institute of Health down there, National Institute of Drug Abuse, sent a wonderful email today championing the cause, backing me up. How can that be? This is going to be a global embarrassment. I'm asking for your support with some very specific things that I also want to protect Paul James that should have been done many years ago. So, you know, Nick Dasovich, Lyndon Hooper, who called me today, wonderful call, get on the phone and get this done. So I'm saying, so if anybody's thinking I'm depressed or on drugs or no, this is an incredibly important cause. I wouldn't be able to do that, and so I say to you guys, just go do that. If you just simple, nothing else that I'm looking for from you guys. Just get it done. And the fact that I would be willing to speak to the CSA, sit down, and to get them to support, shows that this is not a suicide mission for me. If it comes to it, I'm not backing down. I don't know what people don't understand about that, and I'm going to see it through. I'm not going through this amount of pain to bail out now and to get nothing. I'm not going to go through 4.5 years of legal documents, of producing legal documents as a self-represented applicant and be abused in the way that I was, which thousands of other Canadians have experienced, to bail out now. There's just no way. And this box is an example of full to the brim. Just want to mention another email. Alan Errington. Alan, I remember the game in 1993 when we almost qualified for the US. You played Mexico, and I remember you running as an assistant coach to the stands, and you were like this, like so happy and so excited because we scored and we almost got there. I think Lyndon Hooper was part of that, Colin Miller was part of that game, and it was tremendous. I remember the happiness that I saw in you. And I also remember, because I write about it in the book, when we went down to the States and I played in the 2-2 game, and you came up and you were a Jamesy lad, slapping me on the back and saying how excited you were because you thought that was the best I've ever played. And I felt it too as a right fullback. It was such a boost. So I've always respected you, Alan, and I want to keep that respect for you. But somebody read me a response in an email that you had sent about this from, I think, Marco Rizzi, from who opposite of you wrote what was a wonderful piece on mental health and addiction. But I have to say, Alan, I'm disappointed in how you presented it. It's okay to have your thought about, okay, it's a decision, and it's his decision. It's a bad decision. It's a bad decision to get involved in drugs and to do and so forth. But it was the overall tone. It was obviously negative against me for some reason. I don't know what, but fair enough. You have your thing. But now you're gonna get mine, because obviously some things have changed over time in your life to make you more negative. Sorry about that, and that's your issue to deal with. But when you come, this is what it is. We are a punitive, not supportive society towards drug addiction. I'm trying to turn this around, or at least present the case. We need to be supportive, not punitive. And the word, okay, you can say it's a bad decision. It's a bad decision. So think how many times that we've had stories about people going out and drinking, and the antics they get up to, and the mistakes that they make, and let's say the bad decisions that they would make, whether it's having affairs with other women, whether it's riding bikes in the middle of towns in Denmark and doing the things that they would do when you are drunk. Those are bad decisions, yes, but they don't cost you the rest of your life. Let's say that somebody is overworked or goes in tremendous stress and ends up getting cancer for what they do. Bad decisions that they've made along the way. But if they get cancer, or they get diabetes, or they get cardiovascular, where the decisions that they've made we could classify as bad. But it doesn't cost them the rest of their life and the rest of their employment. This could be, and you understand this, for me it was an impaired decision. It was an impaired choice. It was an impaired decision to use. I could never have fallen out of bed to go and use heroin, which I never have. Go use crack cocaine. Go use cocaine. I couldn't do that. It was in an impaired state that you do it. When it's a disorder, then it's that compulsive behavior that's a learned behavior that's so powerful. It's like the guy it's like when you go to have food or you get thirsty. It's the same urge, unfortunately, that same primitive urge. We've created another one, the one to procreate, well, we've created another one and it's to use. That's when it's a disorder. That's when it's a health issue. But what we want to do is that because we see it as a criminal matter, as a matter that is the person's total fault, then we can use the punitive methodologies. And I'm surprised that the millennials don't see it that way. So we, as older people, as the baby boomers, have to fall off the conveyor belt of life to be able to get some real traction in improving our healthcare system and improving the lives of other people. But if you think that it's going to do society and everybody that's suffering good to continue curing that, to keep continually being beaten up. So remember, as you say that, you're saying that about Amy Winehouse, you're saying that about George Michael, you're saying that about Seymour Hoffman, you're saying that about all those other people who have died. They've all done that. Bad decisions, but in most instances, and certainly when you get to the addiction level, it's impaired decisions. They don't want to be making those decisions. Enough said. Disappointed, Alan, but I just want to focus more on the good days. And along the way, Mark McCormack wrote, what I try to do, I feel there's an agenda there, Alan, and there's other emails that I've got where there's an agenda, but the overwhelming majority of people have written and have been absolutely fantastic and so supportive and actually encouraging for me. This is about, like, what that is, Alan, that is stigma to a T. And it's, what I'm going to do, especially when there's an agenda, I'm going to call it, as Mark McCormack, the old chairman of IMG, wrote a great book and a great title. That's what got me in the airport. It's called Never Wrestle with a Pig. So I don't wrestle with pigs anymore. And what the pig is a metaphor for is somebody that is deliberately with an agenda that they just won't budge on it. And that's what we have in this war on people. That too many people have those agendas for whatever reason, whether it's because they run rehabs and they're running a business and it's not really about caring about the people, only to a certain point, as long as they're making money. Or it might be about somebody that has just doesn't like this person. They know that, they find out that they've got an addiction, and then they use it against them. So, anybody else that writes in like that, just no problem. You've got to write in, you've got to have your opinions, because that's where we educate ourselves. But don't be in the category of wrestling with a pig. I just want to show you that. Just want to show you the difference, because I had another email. Actually, let me just read this particular email. Paul, reading some of the stuff online, I think you need to make some direct statements in the language of the masses. You are no longer using drugs, and you have overcome your depression, and you are mentally healthy. It's part of the stigma. It's easy for people to assume that you are still using and mentally unwell. Some people may think that the hunger strike is a result of the imbalance rather than a championship of the cause. So, first of all, let's know what this is all about. This is about injustice from an academic institution and the number one legal firm in the country, the most powerful one. It's about a judicial system that has deliberately prevented self-represented applicant receiving that justice, and almost to the point it's been abusive. There's been collusion. This is a scandal that we're talking about, of which I'm willing to put my life on it. Now, I'm sure they're fine with me going out and dying, and the sooner the better probably for them. That might be unfair, but if it was unfair, if it's an unfair comment, then why hasn't somebody from York University addressed this? It's a disgrace. That's what this is about. It's not even about the CSA to the length of what it is. I'm looking for the support from the CSA to get this resolved, and if I don't get it, then I'm assuming people are going to be okay for me just to wither away. Now, let me just show that. To respond furthermore to that question, let me just show you, and this is taken from Dr. Tom McClellan, and it's a pyramid on substance use and where it is in the United States. But you could take this template and put it in Canada, just with different numbers. So here we go. Here's the pyramid. Below this line here, would be people that don't use or seldom use. As you reach above this line, now you're talking about people that use in a harmful way that causes some kind of consequence, negative consequence. They're not addicted. So if I look at my situation when I was at the CSA back in 2000, 1999, 2000, whenever I started to use, it would be harmful for me. And I started to work my way up. Okay? Then we get to the diagnostic level, and I'm being very quick here because of the time I've already spent. Up here is the line of the diagnostic level. Now in the United States, that's 25 million people. Okay? I think in Canada it's something like 3 million, 4 million people. Now, out of this little segment here, see this little segment here? So I would be in this, if I was living in the United States, I would have been in here, in the part of that 25 million. But only 10% of that, so only 2.5 million, ever get treatment, or have gotten treatment. And what my point is, for that email, that I would have to suffer the indignity of even receiving and people thinking that I use. The only reason that I have that is because I jumped up in a responsible manner to get on the treatment roundabout. As soon as you jump into that treatment roundabout, now you become an addict. Now it's okay for somebody to say you clean. Now that you walk down the street and you might have ruffled hair, that people think that there's something wrong with you. That's what I'm fighting, confronting the stigma. So if somebody wants to watch on TV and makes that statement, well, he's got to come out, how dare you? It's a private matter. When was the last time you used drugs? Let me give you a stat in Canada. 42% of Canadians over a lifetime would have used a drug more than 2 times, so 3 or more times that they would have used a drug. So when was the last time you used a drug? When was the last time that you had depression? You know, and I say, for all what I've done over the last little while, considering that I'm in a position which you don't know yet, I haven't finished with what this system is about. What's going to happen tomorrow? I'm going to talk about York University and show you what happened in the 2 legal cases that were so dreadful. That's why for the last 2 weeks I've been, let's say, destitute, which is going to end because I've got my settlement monies from the one claim that I went to the Human Rights Tribunal. That's finally come through. But the trouble even to get that led me to that situation. But what we do, we automatically assume now, because Paul James is open and is exposed, that it's a drug issue that we're talking about. And for other people out there that have suffered, you have the human rights protection, or you should have. I haven't got it yet from York University, but under Section 15 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, excuse me, you have the right to be treated with respect, with dignity, and with the equality and fairness that other people do. You shouldn't be treated differently. So if somebody asks you those questions, you have every right to turn around, not to feel embarrassed, not to shy away, not to lie, because that's what questions like that present somebody to lie, to hide. Like Rob Ford. Like what happened to Rob Ford is a disgrace to humanity in what happened to that poor man. You know, okay, so he made statements and stuff, and he was kind of like a boy in a way in some of his actions. He was a coach in other ways, but on a human level, the way that we treated him, like all those Ford supporters out there, you know, good on you to support the man, and we should be ashamed. And as I said yesterday, how I've been treated myself, which is reflected on other people, we should hold our heads in shame. Alan Arrington, without flogging it